quietly revealed 100 terrorist suspects were caught at the southern border. That's just how many were caught. Actually, the exact number was 98, but let's round up. About 100 terror suspects. These are people that were literally on like the FBI terror watch list. All right, welcome back, everybody. My name's Victor Nieves. This is the Victor Nieves Show on the very best place in all of radio, the Real Talk Radio Network. And if you were with us last segment, I got sidetracked. I allowed myself once again to slip down the ever slippery slope into another furious rant. I was talking about the border. And of course, I couldn't help myself. I had to talk about how stupid Joe Biden is. But the reason I brought up the border, I still got to touch on this, right? The reason I brought up the border was because it was recently reported some newly published federal data from the Customs and Border Protection Agency came out that quietly revealed, nobody's talking about this, quietly revealed 100 terrorist suspects were caught at the southern border. That's just how many were caught. Actually, the exact number was 98, but let's round up. About 100 terror suspects. These are people that were literally on like the FBI terror watch list that were caught crossing into our country. What do you think the number is of people who were not caught? We know how porous our border is. We know how many people are just flooding back and forth. They say that there's a million gotaways. That's what they call them. They call them gotaways. People who came in and they were supposed to like be, vetted or checked or whatever, but they just ran off because they didn't want to go through the process. A million illegal aliens that are so-called gotaways because they were never vetted, they were never talked to, they were never nothing. Which, in my opinion, every illegal alien who gets caught and who, if you're having a conversation with them, it should be while you put handcuffs on them and deport them back. Because we have laws in this country. We should be a country of law and order. If you break into my house, I'm not just going to be like, it's fine, help yourself to the fridge. I'm going to kick you out. We should do the exact same thing whenever it comes to our country. If you're breaking in the back door of our country and we find you, we should kick you out. But we already know there are a million so-called gotaways in our country right now. How many of those do you think were people who had serious criminal records? Or people who may have even, like these 100 individuals, may have even literally been on the terror watch list of the FBI, and we're just allowing them to pour in right across the border as if it doesn't even exist. Listen, if a country does not have defined borders, it's not a real country. A land is not sovereign without borders. It can't even exist. And there are people out there who will, with a straight face, advocate for open border policy. Well, when the rubber meets the road, there are consequences to that level of stupid. One of the consequences is you allow hundreds and hundreds of, terrorists. You allow hundreds of these cartel people. You allow all sorts of horrible stuff to come pouring across our country. You may think, if you're some bleeding heart, well-intentioned liberal out there, you may think that you're somehow going to make the world a better place by dissolving, all of the borders that are out there. You may have seen some stupid cliche t-shirt that says, build bridges, not walls. And you may have thought that that was actually sound foreign policy advice. It's not. That's not sound advice. You're screwing everything up. It's important to think about the consequences, not just the intentions. There are a lot of people who have good intentions, but what they're actually doing results in very negative consequences. There's a famous quote that says that the path to hell, the road to hell, is paved in good intentions. I don't particularly care how good your intentions may be. I don't care how sunshine and rainbows and la la land you think you're trying to be. If the net consequence is people in my hometown being dead in a ditch because they had too much fentanyl, they overdosed on fentanyl, or people being abducted and sex trafficked across the border, if the net consequence is that, I don't freaking care what you wanted it to be. I don't care what you thought it was going to be like. I don't care how much virtue signaling you were able to do and try and convince everyone that you stand on some moral high horse because you're so different, you're so progressive that you want to build bridges, not walls. Okay. wise guy. Let's see how well that works. You notice how none of those people are ever on the border. They don't live in border towns. These stupid hippy-dippy liberals that are advocating for these policies, they always live in like Oregon, where they're like 2,000 miles away from the nearest border. Well, the southern border. They don't care about the Canadian one. They're not worried about like maple syrup and hockey. They're worried, they're distancing themselves. And then the second that the illegal aliens show up in their backyard, like they did, in Martha's Vineyard, they're kicking them suckers out. They're running them out. Doesn't matter if it's what do they call those stupid things? Sanctuary city. Doesn't matter if it's a sanctuary city. They're kicking them suckers out. They don't want them anywhere near them.